The Donkey Kong Bonanza DLC, as well as many other Nintendo-related announcements, has me worried about the future of Nintendo's games and accessories in terms of value. Ever since the announcement of the Switch 2, Nintendo has made a lot of controversial decisions about their products, mainly with all the unnecessary price hikes and the new variable pricing models they'll be using for their new games going forward. But I was never too worried about the quality of their games. Typically when you pick up a Nintendo game, the experience you get is often pretty solid. Yeah, the spin-offs have been underwhelming, but when it comes to the main entries, I really can't complain. And DK Bonanza, when it released, was no exception. The base game was phenomenal. Amazing 3D platforming and movement options, super memorable levels, and a decent story with one of the best endings I had ever seen. And it was $70. Not the friendliest price, but I didn't feel like I was robbed. I got about 45 hours of the best monkey simulator I'd ever played. I was happy. And then they announced the DK Island and Emerald Rush DLC. At first glance, it was very exciting. A whole new layer to explore with a roguelike game mode attached? Sign me up! Then I saw the price. $20? That's a bit steep, but if the layers I've played before show any representation of what to expect, then I should get at least 6 hours of layer exploration with a fun minigame on top. And then I played it. Let's start with the layer itself. It's fun to explore initially. You see the island from a distance, you get to meet all of DK's pals, see some cool references from his past, and then it starts to seep in what it really is. And that's a glorified display shelf for your DK statues. No new bananas, no new challenges, no new anything. Just a nostalgic toy shelf. Okay, what about the Emerald Rush mode? It's fine. You run around and gather as many emeralds as you can, trying to hit your quota, beelining it to abilities hidden around the map while also collecting modifiers to help gather emeralds faster. And honestly, it's not that deep. There's only so many modifiers, and once you find the select few that work, the game mode gets pretty easy, pretty fast. Now I will give credit where credit is due and say this is a very interesting way of revisiting past levels, but I still don't feel $20 is a justifiable price for it. At least that's my opinion. Now had this been applied to the base game as another post-game reward, this would have been amazing. But with how soon this came out, not even 2 months from the base game's release, I wouldn't be surprised if this was purposely cut just to get another quick $20 out of the fans. And that really sucks, and it worries me. Why, you may ask? It's because Nintendo is now shifting their content so far towards the penny-pinching side that it's only a matter of time before it starts affecting the games as a whole. With the Switch 1 era of games, some of them launch half-baked. Let's take Animal Crossing New Horizons as a quick example. At first, there was very little to do once you passed a certain point, but over time, Nintendo gradually added new content to the game and never charged you extra for it. Similar things happened to their other already released titles as well. Mario Odyssey got Luigi's Balloon Rush and new costumes. Even Kirby Star Allies got some new friends to change up the gameplay. And so many more. We used to criticize Nintendo for releasing incomplete games at launch to then slowly drip feed us the rest of the game over time. Now we are starting to see them release incomplete games and then charge us for the rest of it. The old Ubisoft strategy. But you can argue it's worse than what Ubisoft does because some of these Switch 2 upgrades are $10 to $30 frame rate upgrades with very little new content. So what's to say how good the other DLCs are going to be? They just announced DLC for Mario Wonder, my personal game of the year in 2024, but if the DK DLC shows any standard on what Nintendo believes is worth $20, I'm afraid I'll be just as disappointed. DLC isn't the only issue. Some of these announcements are just straight up ports that sell for full price or way more than what they were previously valued at on previous virtual stores. In the past, when Nintendo brought back an older game, it was either given a very faithful and well-designed remaster or sold at a reduced price on the eShop. Now we are starting to see full-price ports with very little done to improve the experience, or have games locked behind a subscription wall at variable prices so you can't even own the games you want to play anymore. I know everyone is using Silksong as an example of a good complete game for a good price. It's an easy scapegoat at the moment. But it also exposed many gamers to the concept of financial respect and good value. Nintendo used to be one of those guys in some regards. Remember the Nintendo Select program? Where a new game would be released, and then after some time had passed and they made their money back, they dropped the price for those who may have passed it up during the initial launch. What an amazing strategy that was! You would release the game at a standard price and your diehard fans would be loyal enough to buy the product at launch, to then attract new fans by offering them a good deal for a good game, with the hopes that when a new installment of that franchise would release, they would join those diehards at the store during launch day, building a healthy cycle of new to loyal fans. But now Nintendo has become so stingy with their pricing models that they run the risk of pricing out new audiences. Sure, there will always be those that buy their products no matter what the price is. And if you're one of them, that's great. I'm glad you can still enjoy the products Nintendo releases no matter what. But you can't deny this shift of pricing and value is ultimately going to change the opinions of other Nintendo fans. Let's look at another new product Nintendo just announced: the addition of the Nintendo Virtual Boy to the Archives collection. The price for the face mask itself is $100, and this is required to play these games. But then after you buy the mask, you then have to pay another $50 to access the games for a year. You don't even get to keep them. And when it launches, you don't even get the complete library. It will be drip-fed to you over time, meaning you probably won't get to experience all of these games unless you continue to pay another $50 for every year it takes to get access to them. I don't know about you, but that sounds a little unreasonable to me. It'd be a different argument if the mask was optional or the product was sold like the classic editions of old Nintendo consoles, but it's not. $150 for some mediocre games that were known to cause headaches and visual damage that are required to be played like they were in the past does not sound like a good purchase compared to the newer examples of good value games like Silksong, Expedition 33, Split Fiction, and so many more. These games will continue to gather new fans faster because of the value they bring, leading to people potentially buying hardware from other competitors. And if you're just gonna hit me with the "stop being poor" or "just don't buy it" arguments, that's fine. It's your money and you have the right to spend it how you like. But Nintendo is taking a route that could possibly jeopardize them in the long run, losing out on the younger audience. If we take a look at the lineup of current generation hardware, yes, Nintendo is still one of the more affordable options. But everything around the console, being accessories and first-party software, is more expensive, with no signs of price drops in the future, which is strange because in the past it has always benefited them to drop the prices of their products later down the console's lifetime. And you know who else likes price drops with more affordable options?
If you say your mom...
I'm unsubscribing.
My mom! Get out! It was worth it!
Or just parents in general. Parents that buy their kids these consoles for their birthdays and Christmas, making these kids fans of the franchises, turning them into loyal customers down the road. But now Nintendo is doing the opposite. They just raised the price of the Switch One and its accessories. And older games that have been out for years still sell at $60, leading to many players, myself included, skipping out on Nintendo games that I'll never really know if I'll enjoy because I don't want to spend that much on them because of the better price options that keep becoming available as time goes on. And let me tell you, Silksong looks a lot more appealing than Princess Peach Showtime or Mario Brothership. Now, had these games dropped in price over time, I might have picked them up already. But as new, better price options keep appearing and these games continue to stay stagnant, I can't say I feel inclined to give them a try. And now the newer games are becoming even more expensive, with some getting up to $90. And they'll most likely stay $90 until Nintendo themselves say otherwise. Now, if you want a more in-depth explanation of Nintendo's business strategies from past to present, the channel Did You Know Gaming made a phenomenal video going over the entire timeline of Nintendo's history in the gaming space, showing financial data, viewpoints from past CEOs, and even their own predictions for the future. I highly recommend you give it a watch, and I'll leave a link to it in the description for anyone interested. Let me give you one last hypothetical with a question. You know what's hip with the kids right now? Fortnite. A game with a very low price entry of $0. Yes, it's littered with microtransactions, but you do not need to pay anything to play Fortnite. You know what a kid can play it on? Any modern and previous gen console. If you're a parent looking to buy your kid a console to play Fortnite on specifically, what are you going to choose? A $450 Nintendo Switch 2 or the $380 Xbox Series S? Let's go back a generation. A refurbished $250 PS4 Pro from Walmart, or a now $340 Nintendo Switch 1. All of these can play Fortnite, but not all can play Mario. And if this parent's only concern is, can my kid play Fortnite, I have a pretty good idea of what they're choosing. Now, looking at the games department, sure, sometimes during holidays and seasonal events, Nintendo will put some of their mainline titles on sale. But even their sale prices are minimal compared to their competitors. Super Mario Odyssey, a game that was released in 2017, has its lowest recorded price to be $40, and that's only during a sale. Meanwhile, Sony's God of War Ragnarok, a game released in 2022 with the PS5 version being retailed at $70, has gone on sale with its lowest price being $29.39. So not only will players have similar price options when it comes to hardware, but also better deals down the line. And with the recent economic struggles, gaming on a budget is kind of a necessity if you want to get into the hobby. So yes, the Switch 2 sales right now look pretty good, and people are still buying their games. But if they keep this pricing strategy, it'll only be a matter of time before they lose their grip on the younger audience. An audience that since the 80s has been keeping them relevant in the gaming industry. Well, there you have it. What was supposed to be a YouTube short exclusive series ended up being its own full-length video. And it all stemmed from Donkey Kong. I didn't make this video because I want to see Nintendo fail. I made it because I want the opposite. A company that has made so many of my favorite games is now turning into something they're not. And yes, I am very aware that Nintendo has made a lot of controversial decisions in the past. I actually have another video in the works that goes into that. But now it's starting to creep into the one thing that no one could fault them on for a while, and that's the value and quality of their games. And DK Bonanza's DLC shows a very scary future to me. But let me know what you think. Are you happy with what Nintendo's been doing lately, or are you also concerned about their future? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!